Has it been recording? Okay, now it's recording. Okay.
What type of music do you most love to play currently?
Actually, the stuff I really love to play are my own originals. I get the most satisfaction out of that, and I especially love it when I go to a club and ask for if anyone has a request and they request one of my originals. That's just amazing to me because I've been a cover singer for so long and just started doing the original thing in the last couple of years. So that's what I enjoy singing the most. And rock and roll is really kind of my roots, even though I did a lot of country. I would say rock and roll is my roots. But blues, after I've learned a lot about the blues rock is, you know, most favorite for me to sing right now, I would say.
So your originals are more blues rock then?
My originals are, which is a variety of music, but blues rock is, if you want to put a genre on it.
So what would you say is your favorite musician, dead or alive, of all time, if you had to pick one?
Now that's a tough question.
Right.
Favorite musician, dead or alive? Well, I'm going to have to say Linda Ronstadt. I guess because that's the one who inspired me to sing the most. And she's just does so many different kinds of music that I think that she would be the one that has inspired me the most.
How often do you practice?
I try to sing daily, if it's to the radio or to whatever. I also try to take at least an hour a day to play with my guitar and sing and go over songs that I might try to learn new songs and things like that. But it doesn't always work out that way. So sometimes I try to do it daily. It's usually about every other day. You know, some days I'll do it twice in one day. I'll get up singing, and before I go to bed I'm singing. Depends on when inspiration kind of hits me, especially if I'm trying to write a new song or something like that.
Are there any instruments that you're interested in learning how to play?
I want to learn to play slide guitar, lead electric guitar. I played electric guitar, mostly rhythm. I'm a rhythm player. I think that comes from my dancing, from starting out in dance and having the rhythm, you know. So the picking thing is really difficult and very challenging for me. And that's where I'm trying to look into doing a little bit more picking, and I love the sound of slide, and there's a feel to it that you have to get that I'm really trying to get the right slide and just get the feel of it. But I love Bonnie Raitt. I love to watch her do slide guitar. Slide guitar is used in so many songs people don't even realize it's used in, and it's just a great sound, and I just love to be able to learn how to do that.
Can you read music? Or do you just listen and play?
I can if I have to. I mean, I can sit there and figure it out just from the schooling I got from being in choir. You know, I know the scales and looking at it and things like that. But as far as guitar playing, I know mostly just chords. And I kind of just play from there and make up my own things as I go along. So I don't really know. I mean, I may be able to read a chart, I may not. I may need help with it, so I'm kind of like in between on that.
I can't read a list.
Yeah.
Okay, do you feel there's a therapeutic quality while you're performing?
Oh, most definitely. I don't think I realized it when I was younger. I mean, when I was younger and when I decided to start, it was so funny. There was an ad in the paper said they needed a bass player. So I called Dad and I said, well, you guys need a female vocalist? And we already have one, but two would be great. So why don't you come on over? And that's kind of like the first experience I had with some local musicians. His name was Jimmy Click. Rest in peace, Jimmy. He just passed away last year. And a bunch of friends, James Monroe were there. And we were called Odds and Ends. And it was a couple, drummer and the singer were married. And so we started singing all the Ronstadt stuff, and I was singing harmonies, and I was like, this is great. And they go, okay, we're going to have our first gig. And so we go to have our first gig and everything, and I'm like, you know, it was the 70s. We were smoking, we was drinking, you know, and I was just like, this is just too much fun. And at the end of the night, they handed me 20 bucks, and I go, you're going to pay me for this too? I was like, oh, okay, this should be fun, you know. I veered off the question, didn't I? What was the question?
No, just if you feel there's a therapeutic quality.
Oh yeah, well then you thought, wow, this is the therapeutic part was partying, you know, you're partying, you're rock and rolling and all that stuff. And I really did the 80s especially brought a lot of cocaine into the scene and the music scene, and there was a lot of people around me, and I've lost some friends from cocaine and crack and all kinds of things. So it's like over the years I've seen, you know, where you thought like, oh, I can't get on stage unless I have a beer or unless I smoke a joint, you know. And now as I've gotten older and stuff, it's like, you know what, it's being on stage and just coming from within and your own spirit and your own feelings and just having that interconnectedness. That was kind of, I guess, maybe the joint or whatever made you take your walls down so you can feel that more, but really you can do that without any of that stuff. And it is very therapeutic because you're not stoned, you remember. You know.
So do you, if you have an emotion, if you're something going on in your life, do you find is that when your best lyrics come out? Is that when you write?
Yes, yes. The best things that I've written about, for instance, I wrote a song called "Back Again," which will be on my first full-length CD ever. But anyway, and I wrote that after I was inspired by some blues musicians down in Florida that, you know, to write from your heart, you know, and the blues is really about singing from your heart. And that I need to write again because I hadn't written a song since like 1995, and it was like, you can write, you need to start writing again. And I was inspired by their musicians to do that. And I was downstairs, and we have fireplace down there, and it was cold, and it was winter time, and it was like, and I love Florida, and I was missing it, and I could see it in my head, I could smell the ocean, and it was like, oh, you know what, it's like the ocean's calling me back again. In my mind, I can always go there, you know, it's like one of those things. And so that's where that song was inspired from. And it just came out the way it did, and everybody says, oh, that sounds just like a Southern rock Leonard Skinner song. Well, I grew up with that stuff, so I guess, you know, that's where it comes from. But definitely from emotions, yes. Yeah.
What kind,
excuse me.
What kind of music from your genre would you pass on to future children of the world, if any?
What kind of music? I mean, who knows what I mean, I've watched music evolve so much, and I guess, you know, some of it not so much I like, but other stuff I really like, and I can see what I think the most thing you would have to pass on is to pass on the feeling of joy and happiness that it brings to people. I really, you know, I understand the frustration, metal stuff, and the getting your anger out, and I understand that, but I don't think that people should focus on one genre of music, and they should have the times when they have the music that makes them feel good and feel happy. After you get rid of all the anger, you should be joyful. And, you know, and I think that the feeling of the music should be carried on, whichever form that comes in now, because there's so much new technology, new sounds that can come out. You know, it's the feel of the music that matters. I don't think there's any one genre I would want to pass on. I think they're all there, and I don't think they're going anywhere.
Do you feel that the current genre, do you feel we've strayed away from that, the joy and the happiness in songs, that it's become more aggressive?
I don't know if it's more of, you know, because even in my age there was enough of the, you know, they thought Black Sabbath was the devil, you know, and all that. So and now it's considered pretty mediocre rock. So it's just music evolves, and I think that you have your share, because I do have children. You know, my youngest is 20, my oldest is 29. So I have that generation of kids around me that I get to listen to everything. I mean, and they listen to everything too. And I hear the hip hop and the stuff. I like the that Jack Johnson, I think, and some other guys that are like really are singing up and about love and how nice it is, and there really is some uplifting music. Soul Sister by Train, and you know, there's some really good music out there today too. I think a lot of people say, oh, it's not like it used to be. Well, it's never going to be like it used to be, I don't think. That's the point of evolution.
Right. What are your thoughts on formal training versus innate talent?
I think that innate talent, as long as there's formative parents or a formative community around that talent to let it express itself and not suppress it, that talent will tell you what it needs to learn. And usually that talent will, if people are more aware of children instead of telling them to shut up and listen to them, I think that we need to listen to our children more and see what their talents are. And I think talents can be developed, but I think there comes a point where you might have to stop that, you know, and stop the teaching. need to stop. Okay.
We're both like paranoid about
I know,
that
the
here.
camera. But no, I think that it can be good for some. It depends on the person. Like me, I had some formal training, but really not a whole lot. I think the hard knocks school of just going out there playing with bands and meeting different musicians and things like that, going on the road, and at an early age I had the opportunity to go on the road and things like that. So going to Nashville, I had the opportunity to do that. So those kinds of things formed my opinion and my expressions of music the best, you know, I think. And I think for everybody it's different though. It depends on what they're doing, you know. Like a top violinist person may need to have, you know, if they're going to be in the symphony and that really rigid kind of playing there is there for that. They'll have the talent, but they might need that structure, and then they could just fly with it, you know. But I think structure is good to a point, but it just depends on the individual, yes.